we we hear some things like some religion tries to exterminate a whole other people, uh, and and take their women to sex, turn in thousands their women to sex slaves. Then you think we are horrified and say, well, this is a shocking thing. And then you have to ask yourself, why are you shocked? Because inside there is something which objects to that kind of thing, and which is saying, oh, this is not good, and this action, because it contradicts do for others what you want them to do for you. Or if we treat, for example, the other sex, mostly it's the women which are maltreated. If a religion simply says that they are second class and their only purpose is to cater to our sexual desires, then this cannot be the truth, because that contradicts this do for others what you want them to do for you. And it's a very beautiful principle. We perceive emotionally that is a beautiful principle. It's so simple. Do for others or treat others how you want to be treated. There's a justice in that principle. It doesn't put one above the other. It is really how it should be. And you think immediately, oh, life would be much better if everyone observed that. So what in myself says this is a wonderful principle, that sounds good, or what in myself can weigh something if an action is unjust and rebel against this injustice. And this emotional life in us really tells you quite clearly that there is something which can evaluate those things. There is something of a different substance which can feel sad or melancholic or being upset or feel where justice and injustice is done, or perceive beauty and feel, oh, this is beautiful, or this is uplifting, or this is down-putting. And there are millions of emotions come in millions of shades. They cannot be defined because they are spiritual in the end. And so there's an eternity, there's an unlimited number, limitless number of different emotional hues and emotional reactions of us. And for us, the main thing is, and that really tells us the story, to the one who seeks an answer to that, truthfully, and to the one who seeks, he will get the answer. Looking at those things, there must be something in us which is not from this earth, which is not a machine, because machines do not have emotions. We know that very clearly, also quite intuitively, and that must be from somewhere else. It must have come from somewhere, and it probably will go from somewhere, and we cannot measure it. You cannot put it on a scale. You can see its after effects. You can see that sweat pours out, or that you get goose pimples or something, or that your heart starts racing or beats faster. You can see all those effects of that emotional, of that core, which communicates with our day consciousness through emotions. So the answer is very simply, if you seek truthfully for an answer to your question, you will come to the conclusion that there must be something inside of us, that we must be more than just flesh and blood, and that we must be more than a machine, that we have this wonderful thing of an emotional life in us. And so for the ones who do not seek an answer in that, or who cannot seek any more an answer to those questions, who are in fact more or less just already like machines, they will not find an answer to that question. So that seek and you will find, that applies to everything. But here's my answer. Yes. And only those people who truthfully seek for an answer, I think, those people, they will come to the same answer. Yes, there is something which is not from this earth in us, and and this part, of course, can feel melancholy, can feel depressed, can feel sad, can feel oppressed, or it can feel uplifted, joyous, even blissful, be in a state of bliss, and in all kinds of emotions, and and that proves that there must be something which is not of flesh and blood inside us. And again, it is every human being task to find out what that is. So I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you so much, Brother Rainer. I'm going to go to Brother Gregory now. Brother Gregory, this question I'm going to ask is such a like a can of worms, but I feel we should go into it. And I know it's controversial, but it's also, let's say, it needs a answer, since we are saying seek and you shall find, or you shall find. So this question, the question I have is this: as you know, in the world, they call this lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people. On the, I know they're a minority, but they exist, and people don't know how to. Well, I know that they're getting more and more accepted in the world, but people don't really understand what's going on there with people. There, children are feeling they're in the wrong body or something like that, and they don't know what to do about it. And so what I wanted to ask you, Brother Gregory, can you help us to understand, because it's about your gender, am I male, am I female, am I this or that, and it's like a turmoil for the person who goes through this, especially, the main thing we know is the male and the female, which is the most prevalent, obviously, and everybody understands that. But then there's some, let's say 1% of the population, I can't say exactly the number, but something of that type, are feeling very, they're not that type, male or female, they're something else, and they don't know what it is and what's going on with them. And then they want to be accepted, just like any human being wants to be accepted by people around them, their parents, their friends, even though they're different. They don't, let's say with disabled people, it's easier to understand those people, that they're suffering something, and fine. But with this thing about gender, it seems to be quite a difficult thing. So, Brother Gregory, could you help us to understand what's going on there with those people who say, who belong to this category of lesbian, gay, gender, bisexual, and transgender? This LBGT is the sort of common term that is used for them. Would you be able to help us to understand those people, what they're going through, and what?
In the first instance, it is impossible to help any other one to understand what they, whatever community they belong, are going through. Only those who experience it may know it. However, one may state very clearly that nature presents to us two basic, the male and the female. Here on earth, the sexual organs are passed on to the male and the female. So one uses that one to distinguish the male and the female. And even with a slight difference in their, with basic difference in their forms. So on that basis, many then say this is male and this is female. What one sees are the external features. Deep within, that which activates these external features or activates the physical body is the spirit. The spirit does not just activate the physical body. it has other cloaks. Those cloaks that cover the spirit now make it possible for one to refer to the spirit in cloaks as a soul. So when you have that a spirit has severed itself from the physical body, whatever remains there is the soul. The soul has many bodies, one interlocked in the other. What you then have is that a soul that incarnates on earth has tendencies which are neither very clearly marked male or clearly marked female. Such have intuitive perceptions. You may have sometimes, through one's activities, the soul, which basically is that of a female, because it has forced its activities in such a way that in returning back to earth, is now forced to incarnate as a male. Such sometimes are referred to as a female in male's body. On the other hand, there are others who are males who, through their activities, because it becomes very tender activities, we have male in female's body. These then incarnate. There are some who, while still here on earth, have the tendency or still want to, with their activities, because it is fashionable to become a female or fashionable to become a male. So there are all sorts of varieties and possibilities. But the key thing is that whatever the soul seeks, that is what it will find. When the soul seeks that which is noble, it will find that which is noble. When the soul seeks that it wishes to experience a mixture of condition, however right or wrong it is, before too long, conditions will be fashioned such that it will experience what it wishes to experience. But each personality must be respected. So it is wrong to dismiss this group of people because they are, like ourselves, a human spirit. What is not right is to ignore them, marginalize them, and punish them, or call them all sorts of names. Everyone seeks for love and understanding, whatever orientation they have chosen. The best one can do is to wish everybody well.
Thank you for that. I just want to clarify what you were saying in your explanation. It's obviously we are on the earth. You've said that we've had a male body or a female body or organs, that in the body, male or female, and then you mentioned about the soul, which can be, if I'm correct, sorry, you said spirit wears a number of cloaks, and or which can be called soul, and then if I'm correct, you said that the soul can be male and female, or male or female as well. Uh, if I'm correct, if I understood that right.
Yes.
So and I think, and so basically it's just your activity as a spirit. You can tend to, let's say, one way, maybe let's say towards a female. Let's say you're male. Let's give it a little bit of an example. I just want to give a bit more clarity on it. So could you give an example of, let's say, a male in a let's say somebody who's born in a female body, a spirit, and then they have a tendency, they feel like they're a male, and so if you can give some just a bit of like an example of that, so that I think it'll just make the thing clearer.
Well, in the first case, one will prefer that a listener will pick up the work in the light of truth and examine the work itself, such that they will come to a better understanding than a summary which one mentions here. But the key thing remains the same. Fundamentally, we have the activities of the human spirit, fundamentally, which does not change, is that it may be a male or it may be a female. These are basic. The activities determines the gender. That which is able to deal with the rough ones, one may call the male, and that which tends towards that which is finer is the female. Incarnations on earth comes through the female because they are able to attract according to the laws of creation, to attract the human spirit and provide the environment for it, such that after some time, due to ripeness and overripeness, there is a birth. So the female body is conditioned for that, whereas the male body has not such at all. On the other hand, that which is rough or coarse, more coarse, not use the word rough, that is towards the male. If, however, you have the scenario where one's activities as a soul that is intrinsically female, it pushes aside those gentle qualities and strives after those which are those rough, coarse activities, then its incarnation will be such that it will be, the tendency is towards the male body. But it can only last for some time because life on earth is temporary. The same thing happens on the other side. So what one is saying here is only a very brief discussion. It would be good for whoever is listening to take up the work in the light of truth and examine this work itself in all objectivity.
Thank you, Brother Gregory, for that. I've got a question for Brother Reiner, but it seems a little trivial. But I think I will say it. But obviously, we just had the New Year started last week. We celebrated that on our show, and so I just wanted to say that question, like this question. People are celebrating the New Year, wishing each other they normally wish this in a card or in a text message or something, which is like good health, wealth, happiness, and peace and prosperity. These are the sort of typical wishes that people send out. So, would my question to you, Brother Rainer, about that is: do you think that is a sound when somebody wishes that to his friend, or so on? Do you think that's good? Does that have a good sound spiritual basis? Those words when we wish them that, or is it just simply material wishes? Because in the whole show we've been talking about, what we seek should be spiritual. And so if somebody wishes somebody good health, wealth, happiness and peace, of course that is a spiritual thing, but normally it's meant in a material way. So is that a good thing to wish? Basically, has that got any spiritual basis? Basically, that's what I would like to ask you.
I mean, of course, happiness is something spiritual, and peace.
Yes.
To establish peace.
And prosperity.
Well, okay, prosperity is something different, but peace definitely is something spiritual. Now, yeah, and prosperity, may we prosper, of course one thinks more probably in a material way. So, but I think most of the spirits are maybe something like, a happy new year, and wish you all the best, and good health. And people now quite often say, the health is probably the most important thing of all.
Yes.
So what does it really mean? Well, in my opinion, I think it doesn't mean a lot. And no, it does not mean a lot. And I think what people really should do, instead of uttering those trivial conventional sentences, which are almost prefabricated anyway. I mean, you have a Christmas card and it's almost pre-printed on it. And we should really start thinking, why do we live here on earth, and what is the reason, what is the secret of the things we experience? And we have touched it in our talks again. What creates those situations we have to go through? And we know very well that whatever we wish, we can wish some good health to. No one wishes bad health, of course, and it's useless to wish many things, because what will come, and what fate decrees us that we have to go through will come. And the real important question is, how can I change what fate has in store in me? How can I change my karma? And we also must try to understand the purpose of the karma. And the purpose of the karma is really that it creates situations we have to go through and we have to live through in order to mature, in order to come to some insight. And of course, we do not want, and so whatever happens, it has been created for us by the laws of creations. It's practically the situation has been prepared by the laws of creation, by the threats of reciprocal action, which means whatever I do to others, the way I treat others, I will at one point be subject to the same treatment. And the one great thing which you also find here in Matthew. But so if I am good to others, I also will create good fates for me, will give a good fate to me. And but of course, it's a long topic and we have to think a long time about it. But essentially one can say, whatever happens to me is the best thing which can happen. That is just the thing which I need to come to an understanding, to learn something which I haven't learned yet and which I need to learn in order to proceed on my way upwards towards the light. Of course, it's very unfortunate that today many people think, oh, the way upwards to the light, or towards the light, it's of no interest to me. And then they say, whatever happens to me, it's not my fault. It's just chance things. But I think those people who think that way, that they have no purpose in life and everything which befalls them is not of their own doing and they have nothing to do with it, I think quite honestly we must not concern ourselves too much with those people. We can let them believe what they want to believe and they go their way, and we shall go our way. But I think any spiritual awake person shall really first come to the conclusion, whatever I will have to go through, it is the best for me to learn. And then he should also try to walk upwards into more luminous realms where his spirit will walk more and more through sunny regions. And if your spirit walks through sunny regions, or your soul walks through more sunny, more less dense, more regions which are more penetrated by light, closer to God's light, closer to God in a way, you will feel that emotionally inside of you. And it's a wonderful feeling. And this is really what we should try to endeavor. We should really tell something on our postcard. I hope you will recognize that what you will experience is very useful and it's the best which can happen to you. And I hope that you will learn your lessons and quickly step into more sunny realms and into more sunny regions, and will quickly step out of those sufferings, if suffering is in store for you. So yes, I think there's not much to think about it. It's unfortunately those is just empty chaff, just conventions. I think that's what I think, yes.
Okay, thank you for that, Brother Rainer. We've come to the end of our show, listeners. I hope you enjoyed our discussion. We certainly enjoyed sharing that with you. I'm going to ask my colleagues to say goodbye. Brother Gregory, would you like to say something to the listeners?
Everyone should have a very good evening.
Thank you for that. And Brother Rainer?
Yes, I'm saying a simple goodbye and see you in next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. So that reminds me of the topic for next Tuesday. It is going to be truth and dogma. Yes, truth and dogma. So please do join us for that. And we are still waiting for questions. We haven't had any today, but I know there are listeners. They're just, but it's nice if you can join us in the discussion. Then we can, answer your questions as well. Thank you again for listening, dear listeners. I wish you a great week. God bless. Brother Sam's in the house, so I'm very happy to welcome him. So yes, everybody, take care. All the best. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.